Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, mages. Duuz-Diz-Din back again, with more Fairy Tale The 100 Years Quest, where previously, the battle against Ignia and the dragon forces he's unleashed, whether it be the Lacrima that are turning people into dragons, or the dragon gods who have fallen under Ignia's control, or even the forces of Ferris, the black demon, the black mage and her demonic forces, of other black wizards. The fight has been raging on, is what I'm trying to get at. Thanks to some clever thinking by Wendy, Celine is able to be transformed back to normal, and some quick thinking by Gray. Using his powers in unexpected ways, he's able to overcome Vernus, freeing them from Ignia's control. The group then manages to reunite with Mercphobia and Lucy, with Lucy being bestowed a greater power by Mercphobia, the power to summon him. Meanwhile, Natsu and Happy arrive at the battle between Urza and Wed, with them noticing the similarities between Wed and Ignia, which, of course, it's Ignia's son. Team Natsu then all comes together in Dramil in order to fight against Fire and Flame, who have all been dragonized by the Lacrima, while Celine goes over to help the Oración Sechs against the Oración Sechs, although Richard has already been defeated by Gaia. Eric's also in a bit of a touchy place, as Blade can also hear his thoughts, as our Oración Sechs is slowly defeated one by one. Sawyer is able to rally them, not to fall, but to keep fighting. They've experienced a lot in their lives, and it's finally time for them to really stand up and prove themselves as reformed heroes. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, we're starting with chapter 186, The Meaning of Freedom. And we have a profile this time of Fire and Flame's Lekka. Yeah, I was taken aback because him without the mask is so much less interesting than him with the mask. And if you were going to still keep the kind of underjaw thing, I wish there was a way of like keeping him with the teeth on top too. Or at least have the jaw kind of come over his mouth or something. And Lekka's got a cool design, it's just, it was so much cooler when you could fully see his mouth is all. But flame make magic, that's all well and good. Though, I mean, it's not the fight we're focusing on. We're back to Eric versus Blade, as Eric is emanating a massive amount of poison. Blade eyes him down saying, "Poison. I can simply slice through it, and you with it." Eric thinks at Blade, "Nah, you're scared, ain't you? I can hear it." But Blade simply responds, "Where's your confidence coming from? Mentally, what power does that poison have?" Eric telepathically, there we go, tells him, "This is dragon poison." Blade is shocked as Eric smiles, telling him, "It corrodes everything." Eric sends out a blast of poison towards Blade, but Blade manages to slice through it, but it starts to reform all around Blade, who swiftly swings his sword in every direction, dispersing the poison mist. But Eric then points at him saying, "The Cobra's fangs got you now." Blade says, "What?" As he looks to his blade, saying, "My sword, it's all worn down." Ooh. And yeah, he said it outright. His poison eats away at everything. Eric smiles, but Blade rushes in saying, "But I can still cut, or my name isn't Blade." Eric is shocked by this. Ooh, see, that's not really a cut, it's more of a stab. And, well, Blade stabs Eric through the stomach. Oh, he wanted that. Get him in close because he can't dodge or incapacitate his weapon. That's a pretty brutal angle to go at, but it honestly makes a lot of sense. The distance is what was doing Eric the biggest disservice in this fight. So Eric smiles. He roars out, gripping with both hands the blade, piercing his stomach. And as he looms in over Blade, he tells him, "You're in the poison now." And he just emanates poison all around him and Blade. Blade says, "The poison is coiling around me." And Oh, dude, I want to see this animated. Eric just cackles this maniacal grin and yells out, "Poison dragons!" As Blade is eaten away at by the poison. Erickson says, "Sorry, I'm not like Natsu. I kill my opponents." As the poison continues to eat away at Blade. Is he smiling? Yeah, it kind of looks like it. As his body starts to crumble, Blade says, Death is merely returning to Mistress Ferris." And he crumbles away. And then explodes? Wait, what? He crumbled, then he exploded. It's just like you could have done one or the other. Why both? Then again, why not both? Why not crumble and explode? As Eric looms over where Blade once stand. Oh, he was like Natsu. He was a book. How did she gave life to a... Wait, was that like, Irene's swords that she gave life? What was that magic again? Enchantment? Are they enchanted beings? And I'm gonna be real. If they are enchanted objects given life, yeah, personality enchantment. But then again, no, they're ethereal though, right? We were told that they are, weren't we? I don't know. But that's because I don't think if Natsu died, he'd turn into the end book, right? It wouldn't, right? It would make sense if it's personality enchantment. Because let's face it, when it came to the beings that Irene created, they didn't really last too long. I mean, they died, right? Yeah, I mean, well, they turned right back into the items that they were made from, which would be very similar to this. Like, it feels like the same thing. When they were defeated, they turned back into the swords that they were created from. But wait, then what does that mean for Zero? Okay, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. That would make the most sense. But Eric looks at it saying, "A book?" And then the book crumbles away, with Eric questioning, "What are these guys?" We cut over to the battle between Sawyer and Bird, with them rushing through the trees of Alderaan. Bird calls out, "You guys used to be Brain's lackeys, huh?" Sawyer peeks back, and as he still runs from Bird, he tells him, "His team thought of him like a dad for a while." Ooh. Sawyer grabs one of the branches, slings back, and cracks Bird in the face with his foot, saying, "Never thought he'd sell his soul to a demon." As Bird regains his footing, he tells Sawyer, "I can see your flock ain't half bad, but mine took down 3 of ya." As he wipes his face, Sawyer's shocked by this. As Bird tells him, "Don't believe me? Look for yourself." As Sawyer looks around, he sees... Her name was Serrano, right? Serrano. Yeah, Serrano's down, Richard's down, and, well, you're not really going to find Merdy, as, I don't know where Gate put her or sent her, but that Gate's still freaky to look at. Sawyer is shocked, and of course he's taken off guard. As Bird closes the space, saying, "Not the time for spacing out, is it? What did you nobodies come here for anyhow?" He says, headbutting Sawyer in the mouth, which activates flashback. As Sawyer starts to think of the events that brought him here, he was in some small town with Merdy using her, what was it called again? CenturyLink. There it is, CenturyLink magic to communicate with Sawyer. Merdy tells him, "Listen up, everyone. Master Zero's magic has been detected on the northern continent." Eric, who is with, what was her name again? Kiana. Kinana. God, it's been so long since I actually heard her name out loud. Kinan? Eric says, "What?" And Kinan says, "What's wrong, Eric?" Macbeth says, "Father." And we see that Sawyer is with Richard, as Merdy tells him, "I'm going to head up there. Anybody else?" Oh, actually giving them a choice. Serrano says, "I don't really care, to be honest." While her sister Yukino, not hearing the conversation, says, "Big sis, you're talking to yourself." Richard responds, "We've got our freedom." While Sawyer questions, "This has nothing to do with you, does it, Merdy?" Merdy tells them, "Ultier's like a mother to me, and she's involved. We have to settle this." What? Wait, Voltaire involved? Wait, which way is she involved? I mean, she got briefly involved during the whole wood god dragon thing. Maybe that's what clued Meredy into it? Each of the Oratians says thinks on it, with Sawyer finally saying, "What's the point of us going?" Meredy calls out to him, but Sawyer simply says, "I'm done fighting. I can finally run free now." Meredy doesn't respond, but Macbeth then chimes in, questioning, "Are we really free?" Jalal and Meredy are still fighting as members of Crime Sorcière in Fairy Tale 2. Maybe freedom means, interesting, that it was Macbeth actually who managed to convince them. You know what? I like this. Because I'll be honest, the way things kind of ended off with them during the original series, while not terrible, they didn't really get to have their full-on moment of showing how far their redemption, as it were, came. I mean, they got pretty close, but it's like they didn't get to have that triumphant moment, you know? But man, seeing Sawyer knock one to Bird, oh jeez, and then even going in and biting him, oh my god, with Sawyer thinking, having the will to keep on fighting. Oh no, that's Macbeth's words. Freedom means having the will to keep on fighting. Sawyer begins zooming all around Bird, saying, "You want to know why I came here? To keep jerks like you from calling yourselves Oración." And he unleashes Sonic Heaven against Bird. She's utterly decimating him. As Sawyer thinks to himself, "Macbeth, take Zero down." And we see Macbeth ready to fight. Okay. Oh dang. Can he do it though? I mean, everybody else fell, which is a bummer. But could that make the difference, I wonder? Next up, we have chapter 187. Shining Salvation in a Pinch. Okay. And we have the rundown of the matches. Richard lost to Gaia. Sawyer won against Bird. Serrano lost to Damon. Meredy lost to Gate. Eric won against Blade. And the battle between Macbeth and Brain, or Master Zero, whatever they're calling him, is still to be decided. And we pick up with it right now, as Brain is emanating a dark power, or Zero is emanating a dark power. Macbeth tells Zero, "You're a ghost, still caught up on the Oración Sechs, whether it's Sechs or Seish." But Zero then tells him, "I have no interest in rejects like you. I have one goal, to destroy Fairy Tale." Macbeth then unleashes Spiral Pain, wrapping Zero's arm in his power. But Zero simply flicks it off, saying that won't work. And he unleashes Dark Rondo. Macbeth counters with Reflector, blocking Zero's Dark Rondo. But Zero simply says, "I'm the one who taught you magic," with his power seemingly overwhelming Macbeth. With that, Zero's able to get in close, elbowing Macbeth in the face. But Macbeth manages to keep his stance, saying, "Then I'll teach you something too. Magic that goes beyond what you can do." And he rushes in and uses Dark Rondo enchantment, bringing the power into his fists. Zero shocks, saying, "You enchanted magic into your fists?" And Macbeth's hit manages to connect, knocking Zero back, but not down. The hit did noticeable damage to Zero's face, but Zero simply grows angry, saying, "Reminds me of that annoying fire brat." Yeah, he did learn a lot from Natsu. As once again, Macbeth enchants the Dark Rondo into his fist, but Zero, seeing it coming, blocks with his own arm. Zero tells him, "You know nothing of darkness." But Macbeth simply tells him, "I don't need it. I don't cry in the dead of night anymore." But Zero then begins to swirl his hand, saying, "Open portal of the demon's wail. Genesis 0. Oh, he's unleashing this, huh? As his power starts to flow out, Macbeth starts to make signs with his hand, saying, "This is the magic that surpasses yours. Open portal of lamentation. Completion infinity." Wait, have we seen him use that before? Completion infinity. What? Like, that sounds like it's a counter spell, essentially. What kind of magic is this? No. Oh, he even says it. Zero says, "This is Purification magic. Have we seen purification magic before? Oh, it's the white arts. Oh, it's only been used by Chemo. Oh, that thing! From the Eclipse's celestial spirit art. What? Wow. Good on Mashima for continuing to use stuff from the filler. What? And an art also used by Weakness Soldier. The Weakness Soldier created by Wall. Oh. Yeah, it's such a footnote kind of thing. Yeah, you've rarely ever seen this. You rarely ever see the purification magic in this series, period. Zero questions, the magic of the dead is disappearing? And Macbeth tells him, you're going to return to the realm of the dead too. As Zero starts to dissipate, crying out, he then seems to hold himself together by sheer force of will. Oh, activating his brain personality. He can still do it. Macbeth says the brain personality. Brain then starts to form hand signs and what was it called again, what he does? I think it's letter magic. As Brain says, searching archive, removing magic with Jutsushiki. Yeah, that's what he used to undo whatever was going on with Jalal during that forget what it was called. Yeah, this is an ability that we first saw with Freed. Yeah, thank God for the wiki, because I'm just like, okay, I know what this is. It's just like, I haven't seen this in a while. But Macbeth questions, what's going on? As Brain completely undoes his spell on almost a molecular level. Macbeth says, no. He thinks to himself, he switched to Brain's personality to eliminate my magic by linking it to autonomous destructive runes. Brain then switches back to Zero and gets ready to cast again, telling Macbeth, you're nothing more than a wayside pebble, and you're in my way. Macbeth can only watch in horror as Zero unleashes dark gravity, blasting Macbeth downward. Oh, and he's defeated too? Really? Wow. Sawyer's the only one who won his fight. No, Sawyer and Eric. Dang. We then cut over to Gate, who laments the situation, questioning, "Or down, I can't believe two of ours lost." He then snaps his fingers. His gate opens and spits out Merdy, who looks absolutely rabid. Like looks like she's down for the count. I can only imagine what happened in there. But as he looks down upon her, Gate says, you're still alive. Guess you have an admirable amount of life force, at least. Hands then emanate from the gate yet again, as Gate says, I'll send you through my gate again. As the hands grab Meredy, she screams, no. Suddenly, a rush of water comes in. Gate shocked as the water starts to envelop Meredy in, on everything except her head and her boobs. As a voice calls out, it's okay now, Meredy. As Meredy opens her eyes, he sees that she's in the arms of Juvia in a very luxurious-looking outfit. Who says Juvia will handle this. Gate says, where did you come from? Juvia tells her there's still magic left from when we were linked. Really? After all this time? She could sense that Meredy was in danger? Or she knew what Meredy was planning to do. Meredy calls out to Juvia. Meanwhile, over with Gaia. Is it Elfman? Yeah. Elfman stands before him saying, I'll fight you. And Gaia readies himself, with Richard calling out, Elfman, you're a man indeed. You damn right. Oh man, Elfman getting a fight. Heck yeah. I was hoping the rest of Fairy Tail would show up. Go back. I was saying, I was really hoping the rest of Fairy Tail would show up for this fight. Ooh. Mira Jane has shown up, saying, well, shall we get started? And Damon responds, who's this floofy girl? Sarano calls out, Mira Jane, she's a lot like me. Meanwhile, as Zero looks over the hole he buried Macbeth in, he says, I'm only after Fairy Tail. And a very familiar silhouette tells him, what's that about Fairy Tail? As there stands Gajeel, also in a different outfit. Zero turns saying, this guy's from Phantom. No. Wait, that's Emblem. I was about to say Phantom Lord. Buddy, that is old news. Then again, they never would have met. Yeah, actually, at that point, all the way back there. Yeah, by that point, yeah, he would only recognize Gajeel from Phantom Lord. Dang, okay. Well, I'm interested to see how this fight goes down. All right, we move over to chapter 188, titled Mermaid Fun. Is Mermaid Heel about to show up, or are we talking about Juvia? Well, the little info dump picture or whatever we have this time is on Luso's Signario of Fire and Flame in her dragonized form. Still got the cleavage showing, but this time showing a bit more thigh. Wearing a skirt so she could actually have her tail run free. I gotta admit though, I wish her horns actually came down like her little ornamental horns that she normally would have. Alright, the matchups. Gajeel versus Zero. Elfman versus Gaia. Mutagene versus Damon, and Juvia versus Gate. And it's a good thing everybody else won their fights, or we wouldn't have enough people to throw down. Unless we had, I don't know, Laxus show up again. And, who else could have shown up to fight? But Meredy tells Juvia, be careful, I don't understand his magic. But Juvia simply says, got it. While thinking to herself, Juvia meant to go to Gray. But Juvia can't abandon Meredy when she's in trouble. Juvia is sure that Gray. Well, Meredy calls out Juvia, and then Juvia says, wishes to see Juvia as soon as possible. With Meredy question, huh? Where'd that come from? Is it his magic? Gate then says, no. He then spreads open his arms, saying, your friend's assistance won't save you. I'll open the gate to the underworld. Juvia then thinks to herself, gate? That means key. That means the celestial spirit magic. That means Lucy. And then she says, a love rifle. The ways Juvia's brains work is an enigma. It's an enigma. It's like, don't try to make sense of it, lest you go mad. With Meredy just saying, how? Juvia then unleashes Water Slicer. With Meredy saying, okay, will she be okay? She seems more out of control than usual. Don't stop her. Let her go. If it gives her the chutzpah to just dominate this dude, let it go. Gate simply says, water, huh? Gate open. Fifth Element. I love that movie. And then the water goes in the gate. Juvia calls out, Juvia's water, as the gate opens above her head and then brings a bunch of wood down on her. Kinky. Yes. 8 of the 5th element, so 5 elements. Or then again, I guess it would be any one element he chose because he sent Meredy to the underworld. Meredy questions, the water turned into a tree when it passed through the gate? Gate then commands, gate open. Opening another gate next to him. Juvia thinks to herself, another gate? And wood comes out of that one too. Oh no. Juvia says it sucked up the wood around it. Meredy calls out, Juvia, watch out. And Gate points towards her, saying, gate open. And behind her, a gate opens and flames come bursting forth. Oh, so he has to have one gate open and take in something, and what gives life to that element comes bursting out of the subsequent gate. Interesting. As a blast of fire hits Juvia from behind, Meredy questions, a gate behind her, and this time it's fire? But Juvia starts to dissipate into water, saying Juvia's body is made of water. Fire is ineffective against her. Juvia just needs to defeat him directly before the gate sucks up her attacks. And Juvia goes rushing towards Gate. As she gets in close, she uses water jigsaw, but Gate has a gate open upon his chest, outstretching his arms. Juvia's attack and herself start to be drawn in as Juvia says, oh no, Gate says, I'm a gate myself. And Juvia says, Juvia's being sucked in. Meredy calls out to Juvia, and as, Juvia's hand is sucked in, she says, no, Juvia doesn't want to go inside this person. Pause. But we see a gate open above her, and it's a hand made of wood. Oh, so it just becomes the element that it nourishes. Meredy sees this, saying, Juvia, there's a wooden hand coming at you from above now. Juvia manages to retract her hand, and the wooden hand retracts through the gate as well. just as Juvia moves to look at it. This is kind of freaky. Juvia looks around thinking to herself, Juvia's hand turned into wood? What's going on? Water turning into wood, word into fire. Elements? Maybe. She scoops some dirt off of the ground or moss? No. And she throws it at Gate. Meredy questions, Juvia, why'd you throw dirt? And as the dirt goes through Gate's chest next to Meredy, a gate opens above her, and she looks as something pours out. She says, what the? Another gate with metal? Metal. Suddenly, Juvia realizes, says, so that's it. Wow, Gray? Summer? Wait, what? Gray? Meredy says, huh? Gate says, who? And Juvia then thinks, the 5 elements. Water becomes wood, wood becomes fire, fire becomes earth, earth becomes metal, metal becomes water? Huh, okay. When it sucked in earth before, it turned into metal. So if it sucks in metal, it'll turn into water. But then Juvia realizes something and thinks to herself, but what good would water do anyway? Juvia doesn't get power-ups from water. Much as it pains me, Juvia wishes Lucy were here. But then she realizes something else. Justin Gate then tells her, this is the final gate. Gate open. Realm of the dead. And the same door to the underworld that drew in Meredy opens yet again, with demonic hands stretching out towards Juvia. Oh, and Meredy. Meredy says, my body. Juvia says, we're being pulled in, as Gate tells them. When you pass through this gate, you'll turn into corpses and crumble into dust. You won't get away this time. As Juvia and Meredy are pulled towards the gate of the dead, Juvia says, here goes nothing. As she reaches up to a nearby branch with her water, cuts it down, and throws it towards one of the gates. As Meredy is still being dragged in, she cries out, Juvia, what are you doing? Juvia shoves the wood into the gate, saying, this gate turns wood into fire. And as flames comes out another gate, she sends the flames into another gate, saying fire to earth, earth to metal, as she redirects another gate. And she's managed to link all the gates so they produce different elements, subsequently into water. Gate calls out, what? She connected the gates to keep the elements changing. As Juvia calls out, and metal to water. Gate, seeing the torrent of water now rushing towards them, then questions, so she caught on to the gate elements, but why is she making water? But Juvia calls out as she's surrounded by water, the principle should be the same. Help Juvia out, Lucy. Wait, what? No way. Open gate of the water bear palace. Wait, what? How does that work? Is that a celestial spirit dress? Juvia Aquarius? At first I thought she was about to summon Aquarius, but that's transformation magic. So I'm very curious about this. I'm very curious about what exactly happened here. I'm very confused. As Juvia has become a mermaid, and unless she's taken on the properties and the magical prowess of Aquarius, seeing this, Meredy questions, a mermaid? And as the torrent of water comes rushing towards Gate, Gate simply says, oh, you're just throwing more water at me. I told you, I am a gate. And as the water starts to enter into Gate, he then notices something's off. As the water seems to be entering his body, and he starts to inflate, he says, the water's not coming out. Why? He looks over towards this other gate, the exit gate, and sees the exit gate is blocked. Juvia is keeping the water in place, blocking the exits, telling him Juvia blocked all the gates with water. The water has nowhere to go. So it's building up inside of your body until you burst. And Gate does just that as he, Jesus, inflated to a water balloon. And the gate on his chest shatters. Meredy gets up saying, thank you, Juvia. And Juvia says, oh no. Meredy then questions, but was that celestial spirit magic? Juvia simply says, no. Juvia simply thought that pretending to be a mermaid might give her more power. So it was just transformation magic. With Meredy saying, what kind of logic is that? Juvia says, the power of love and jealousy. Actually, maybe she did channel Aquarius. Are we sure this wasn't takeover magic? So she did just use transformation magic. You know what? It's like I said before. Whatever gives Juvia the power to defeat the guy, even if it makes no sense, as long as she beat him. As long as she beat him. And the last chapter we'll be looking at in this video is titled Chapter 189, Dragon's Banquet. Okay. And then we have, this time, any scenario in her dragonized form, which, I mean, she's still cute, but the little wingy-ding horns on her head, it just ain't doing it for me. She's cuter in her normal form. We see that after the battle with the inflated gate. God, someone's kink. Juvia transforms back to normal, and suddenly Gate starts to moke, much to the shock of Juvia and Murdy, and transforms back into the Book of the Gate. Murdy shouts, "He turned into a book?" And then Juvia just looks around saying, "Trivialities aside, where's Gray?" It's Murdy questioning, "Is it a triviality?" Right? Like, are you sure it's a triviality? That seems kind of important. But, I mean, hey, the demons of the Book of Ferris fall one after another. Is not exactly the matchups that I was really hoping for, but I'll take what I can get. Juvia then says wistfully, "Is Gray all right?" Speaking of Gray, we cut over to the battle between them and Fire and Flame. As Gray calls out, "You all okay?" Natsu says, "Yeah." As Annie then questions, "Why don't we finish this already?" Well, Luso says, "Let's do it." Oh, suddenly there's a crack in the sky above them, and something pops out. It's Ferris with her dragon arm, with, what was the chick's name again? Bestia, clinging to her back. Oh, they don't look any worse for wear, though. They're both smiling. I was gonna call him Wed for a second there. Like, no, that's not his name. Lekka questions Bestia, while Gray then says, "A dark Ferris? Yeah, I guess they don't really know who that is." Lucy then says, "You're right, it looks just like her." Happy then calls out Natsu, "Isn't Bestia?" Natsu questions, "Huh?" And then they remember Misfortune's words saying, if you can eat Bestia's flames, it might awaken your power. And Natsu then calls out, "Grub!" Well, Happy says, "No, Natsu." Yeah, I'm interested to see how this is gonna go on. Wendy then questions, "What? They're magic." Urza says, "Yes, Ferris and that flame woman too." Carla says they're special. Wed tells them Bestia is the leader of Fire and Flame. It's like, yeah, you know what? All things considered, it's probably for the best that she's preoccupied. As Bestia takes Ferris and rockets away, saying, "Please leave this to me." Ferris then tells Bestia, "Your flames are pretty interesting." And Natsu then calls out, "Ah, my grub!" Only for Wed to be coming up behind him saying, "Why'd you take your eyes off me?" And Wed brings his sword down on Natsu. Lucy calls out to Natsu, only for us to see that Wed's sword has been melted in half. By Natsu saying, "So?" Well, dang, much to Wed's shock and Urza's bemusement, Natsu calls out, "Enough! I'll blow you all away." He starts emanating an intense amount of heat, which naturally starts to burn off Eddie and Lucio's clothes, much to the delight of Raj. Lucio says, What are these flames?" And he says, "My clothes." Raj is very delighted, as Lekka then says, "His flames are different from ours." You see that everybody's clothes has been affected on his side, too. As Urza says, "Lucy, your clothes." Lucy tries to cover up. Gray says, "Mine too." But Wendy, keeping her modesty, says, "You weren't wearing any to begin with." But Natsu smiles, saying, "Some dragons you turned out to be." Raj says, "Excuse me?" Oh, Jesus. Natsu unleashes a massive beam of fire on them. He didn't even call out his attack, which, I mean, it doesn't do much to them ultimately, but it's kind of like, whoa, God. It kind of took them back a little bit. And Natsu tells them, "This is the power of a dragon." Oh, right, I forgot. Celine meeting with Alderaan, right. I forgot all about this. God, despite the fact that you've had people fighting on Alderaan for all this time, Alderaan ain't done jack for a hot minute. Again, why I say Alderaan's like my least interesting dragon god. But Selene floats in front of Alderaan saying, the wood dragon god Alderaan. Alderaan's true form must be around here somewhere, she says, flying into the giant's mouth. But several branches start extending towards her. She's kind of taken off guard by this, as she's suddenly wrapped up and squeezed. So she goes into her human form to escape. But then she's seized once again. Yeah. Oh, there it is. As the god-themed form of Alderaan appears. Yeah, this is essentially his human form. Well, does Alderaan know that Selene, kind of tried to slime him out during that previous event? Selene sees him calling out Alderaan, while Alderaan gestures above him saying, someone's making a racket above my body. Is it you, Selene? He then sends several wooden spikes towards her, but without moving, Selene opens a portal right in front of her. She then manages to move over towards Alderaan with her portal, saying, those are your first words to me in 400 years, withered tree dragon. Selene then goes in with a kick on Alderaan, but he manages to block. Alderaan puts his hand out, and so does Selene, as they both send out a shockwave of power that causes a massive amount of destruction between the two of them, sliding them both backwards. Alderaan questions, you wish for dragon to fight dragon? Selene simply tells him, this is the final evening of the 400-year banquet. Okay, Selene fighting Alderaan. Not my favorite matchup, but I'll take it. Meanwhile, in the battle between Zero and Gajiel, Zero questions, weren't you Jose's right-hand man, the Iron Dragon Slayer? You're in Fairy Tale? Gajiel smiles, telling him, yeah, Jose was cramping my style. Zero prepares an attack, questioning, showing resentment instead of gratitude toward your father. You're just like my kids, the Oración says. As he goes in for an attack, Gajiel is already hitting him with an iron club to the stomach. Gajiel telling him, there's only one guy I think of as a dad, Master Makarov. Hells yeah, brother. Dang, that's the end of the chapter. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm disappointed that the full roster of the Oración says isn't gonna outdo these guys. And Macbeth, at the very least, I feel like Macbeth should have taken down Zero. Even if you had made it so that the Oración says themselves had to come together to take down Zero, I would have even preferred that a little bit more. And Gajiel could fight Bird or whatever, but this, I'm not saying I'm not happy to have them join in. It's just, I don't know, even Juvia's defeat of Gate. I mean, because when Sawyer overcame Bird, that looked like such an intense struggle. Like, man, he really put in that work to win. And Cobra taking down Blade, like, dude, that was such an intense fight. Like, Eric really had to just take that big hit. That's really kind of unfortunate. I would have loved to have seen, like, Murdy getting some coaching, even telepathically, from Ultir. And Serrano maybe could have even had her sister come in if she needed. I mean, Yukino coming in to help her sister would have been a nice way of having that fight go down. I mean, there's other ways we could have done this without kind of doing a bit of disservice to the OG Oración says, That's all I'm kind of saying. I mean, I don't mind Fairy Tail coming in for the help. At the very least, what would have made it more of an impactful fight with these bad Oración says would have been if you had Fairy Tail teaming up with our Oración says and have it be team-up attacks that take them down, because that shows how strong our opponents are, and also shows that our Oración says, had to learn to team up with people to fight, had to learn how to co-ops, cohabitate, actually show bonding and stuff like that in order to take down these opponents. That would have at least shown a little bit more power from these demons, as it were. Because, I don't know, having Fairy Tail members just take these guys down as per usual, it kind of does them a bit of a disservice, I feel. And if the demons of the Book of Ferris are already falling, then is Ferris herself really that strong? I don't know. The fact that I'm starting to question it now just, it ain't a good look. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. Then take care. Bye-bye.